Welcome to the 138th installment of Ear to the Ground, the Land Stewardship Project's audio podcast on family farming, sustainable agriculture, local food systems, and local democracy. I'm Brian DeVore, editor of the Land Stewardship Letter. Amy Haben and Tom Moore are siblings who bought some family farmland in 1995, basically to make sure it stayed in the family. But after Amy and Tom, along with Amy's husband John, purchased a 100-acre farm from their grandmother, they realized they wanted to take a more active role in managing the former dairy operation. So during the winter of 2010-2011, the brother-sister team took the Land Stewardship Project's Farm Beginnings course. During the class, established farmers and other agricultural professionals gave presentations on goal setting, business planning, and marketing, among other things. Through Farm Beginnings, Amy and Tom learned that there was a way to combine their passion for land that has been in the family since 1876 with economic viability. Timber, a stream, pastures, and wildlife habitat make up this scenic parcel, which they named Butternut Woods Farm after butternut trees that have long stood on the property. Through the Farm Beginnings class, Amy and Tom were exposed to farmers who talked about how grass-based livestock production could be a way to derive income from a farm, given the growing demand for meat that's healthy and comes from animals that are being treated well. They also set in on business planning sessions where they learned how to create long-range strategies for building an economically viable operation. As a result, during the past few years, they have been gradually building up a small herd of Scottish Highland beef cattle. These rugged animals help clean up brushy areas on the farm while making productive use of the pastures Amy and Tom have established. They have recently started marketing beef directly to consumers and have plans to grow their herd and their business more. They have also taken another important step in developing the farm business by recently enrolling in LSP's Journeyperson course. Journeyperson was developed by LSP to fill the continuing education gap between farm startup and farm establishment. The course provides hands-on mentoring, technical assistance, and training for beginning farmers with 1 to 6 years of farming experience who want to further develop their skills. Through Journeyperson, Tom and Amy are networking with other established and beginning farmers in the region. They visit each other's farms and share information and insights. I visited Butternut Woods Farm recently and talked to Tom and Amy about taking a more active role in farming their land and how Journeyperson and other networking tools are helping them create a viable agricultural enterprise that not only produces food, but is also a positive presence in the community. Guys, we were talking a little bit about how when you decided you were going to buy the farm here, you kind of went through some phases as far as first you just wanted to make sure that kind of it stayed in the family. It's been in the family for well over 100 years. But then you started looking at, to kind of keep it sustainable, as far as keeping it in the family, you need to figure out a way to make it economically sustainable. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that kind of thinking that went into that, because I think that's an issue that a lot of families face sometimes when they find themselves owning some family land.
Well, and I think it's not something we necessarily thought about up front, because we were so focused on finding a way to buy the farm, to keep the farm in the family. But I think once Tom moved out here and we started that process, we realized that in fact there's a lot of responsibility, that there was a lot of cost that we were just learning about. And so we knew that to really make this work in the long term, we had to be really thoughtful and deliberate about the choices we were making as it related to the farm.
Yeah, we did. We started with the cattle, and they did start as a hobby, and it grew from there. And we soon realized that we enjoyed having them around, but we really wanted to make more of a business. And by doing that, we had a lot to learn. And I think that's where Farm Beginnings and now the Journey program has really brought us around and helped us to progress down that road.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. With the Farm Beginnings and the Journeyperson course, the Farm Beginnings, they're kind of, it could be easy to confuse the two programs, but you're getting kind of different things out of them. You guys taking the Farm Beginnings, and you talk a little bit about how one of the things that attracted you was you don't have a farm background, and you felt maybe comfortable talking about that and asking questions that maybe to you felt like dumb questions, but you were able to kind of be in that welcoming atmosphere a little bit.
So I think Farm Beginnings for us it really helped us figure out what did we want to do and why did we want to do that, and what the Journeyperson program has done is helped us advance down the road of how are we going to do that and how do we continue to grow that. Farm Beginnings was great because we had a little bit of knowledge and we were starting to know what questions we had, but it was a really great place, to go and to ask those questions and to know that by asking those questions, others in the room were probably thinking the same things or thinking, wow, that's a great question. When other folks would ask questions, sometimes we'd go, wow, that's a great question. Hadn't thought of that. But we were learning from that, which I think was the great part of that process, and really thinking about what you wanted to do and why. You were learning from everybody else going through that process at the same time.
Yeah, I think with both of the programs, the one thing that we really brought out of it was the sense of community and the peer groups that we're able to establish in both of them. It's always nice to know that somebody's somewhat in the boat that you're in, and you're able to learn from them, and hopefully they're able to learn from us. But it's good to have people that are going through the same thing you are, or people that have went through it. That's a great thing about Farm Beginnings is they bring in the people who went through it the year before, and you can see where they were able to go in 1 year. Gives you a real drive to do the same thing and to get where they're at. So both of those programs, and now the Journey program we're in, really give us a good picture of where we want to be. Having those people around that are doing the same things that we are, and getting to know them, and even though they're not your neighbors, they're truly your farm neighbors. They're the people that are doing the same thing. They're having the same challenges. They may be some of them are 50, 100 miles apart from us, but they're working through the same things we are, and they're a phone call or an email away, which is great.
Part of this, too, is it sounds like it's been real important for you to take that next step as far as financial planning with the Journeyperson course and working with the farm business management instructor a little bit as far as, okay, if we really are going to be serious, you had talked a little bit about this, kind of helped you kind of step back and go, all right, we are committing to this, and financially we're committing to this a little bit.
What farm business management is helping us do is really take the initial experience we had getting into farming and helping us start to scale that, really getting our arms around what does it mean to track our finances, and what is the breadth of the things, and what is the best way to track this for a cattle operation. We don't have to recreate that wheel. There are others out there doing this, so it's getting us further down the path faster, and that it is also helping us do this in a way that we know makes sense given the kinds of data we're going to have at the end that will help us make decisions as we move forward. So I think that's the part that has been really helpful. And, the questions that he's asking us are things, some of them are things we haven't yet thought of, but are getting us really thinking about what that information is, how we make sure we track it, and so that we'll really get a good handle on what we're doing here and what that could look like in the future.
When you were talking about your long-term goals for this place, you really talked about how beautiful it is, frankly, and how it's just it's meant a lot to your family, and it's something you want to keep in the family, but also you want to share that in a way and figure out a way you can have a business model, it sounds like, almost, that can share that.
In many ways, Farm Beginnings was the place in which we first articulated that vision, which is that what we think what we have here is special, and that we want to continue to grow and expand that, but that there's an opportunity to share that and build a community around this. And the people who are supporting our small farm and supporting, local sustainable farming and have chosen us, that this is a place that they can come have some of their own farm experience, and that we can create a community of people who are looking and sort of share those values and are looking for that same thing, and to be invested and understand, where their food is coming from. And so we think there's an opportunity to share what we're doing here, that others can learn about it. This has definitely been a process of learning for us. And we want to expand those, who are interested in learning and being on this journey with us. We want to invite them along.
Having people out here and having them see our farm and see the animals, I think is as much about the experience has just buying the beef. I think it's great that people can come out. They're our customers and they buy our beef, but for them to come out and see our animals, see how we interact with the animals, what the animals are doing, you can actually see the enjoyment our animals get out of living here. And I think that's a big thing for us. I think more people should be more in touch with their food and really understand it. And I think we have a really unique opportunity to have people come out and really see what their beef is doing before it's actually their beef.
So one of our customers that we had out on the farm, we were talking afterwards, and I had asked her, well, what did you think of the beef? And she said, I honestly didn't realize it was going to taste that good. But what I cannot separate is it that good, or is it that good because I was on your farm and I understand and I had an experience on your farm that makes me think about this differently. She said, but it is great beef. And I think, that her questioning how connected those two things were, I think is part of what we think is special about what we're doing here, and that we want to share that part of the experience with everyone. Talking about
the brother and sister dynamic and the family dynamic, you guys had said that one of the things that really helped was you shared one overall goal, and that's kind of helped you get over that, maybe the day-to-day tension or stress of this, but that also through Farm Beginnings and that it helped you kind of do that long-term visiting, and you brought in other members of the family too, it sounds like. When we first purchased the farm from our grandma and started that process, it was definitely a process over many years. What we knew is that this was going to continue to be a place for family, and it's sort of in the bigger definition of family. And so as we started envisioning what the farm could be as a business, we got everybody to the table. And so that was our mom came to the table, my husband came to the table, the kids came to the table. So we had a 9 and a 12-year-old there, and we all visioned together what could this be? What do we see for the future, and how do we make this work for everybody, and how do we make it something that includes all of us in the process? For more information on Farm Beginnings and the Journeyperson course, see www.landstewardshipproject.org. If you have comments or suggestions about this podcast, contact Brian DeVore at bdevore@landstewardshipproject.org, or you can call 612-722-6377. Thanks to Laura Borgendale, a Western Minnesota musician, for Ear to the Ground's theme music. And a special thank you to all of Land Stewardship Project's members who make initiatives such as this podcast possible. If you're not a member, visit landstewardshipproject.org to learn how you can support LSP. Thanks for listening.